ABC Listen. Podcasts, radio, news, music and more.
Hello, your episode of ABC News Daily is coming up in a sec, but I just wanted to tell you about our podcast. I'm Julia Baird.
And I'm Jeremy Fernandez, and we have a pod called Not Stupid, where every week we chat about the stories we're a bit obsessed with.
And look, the biggest story of the last few weeks is definitely the US election. I'm actually about to get on a plane to the States, so I'm interested to kind of gauge the mood in what's been a really tumultuous period. You can hear us talking about it on Not Stupid, which you can find on the ABC Listen app.
The government wants to ban under-16s from social media. And let's face it, a lot of parents dream of that. But even though it's a policy with bipartisan support, there are many sceptics who think a ban is not the answer to our social media woes. Today we speak with two of them. I'm Sam Hawley on Gadigal land in Sydney. This is ABC News Daily.
Young people under 16 will be banned from accessing social media under laws set to land in federal parliament within weeks.
And this one's for the mums and dads. Social media is doing harm to our kids, and I'm calling time on it.
The minimum age would also not be grandfathered, meaning young people on social media now will be banned when the law takes effect, even if their parents are okay with that.
We do not wish to punish parents or users. This is about the platforms doing better.
Hi, I'm Kriti Gupta. I'm 28. I work in the media and marketing space, and I also help run a Gen Z targeted mental health first aid charity.
Kriti, there are varying views, of course, of the government's plans to ban social media for under-16s. And I wanted to chat to you because social media has played a really big role in your life and often in a positive way, hasn't it?
Yes, absolutely. I started off on the internet probably at a little bit too young of an age in hindsight, but I grew up with the internet as it evolved. And one of the key differentiators I would say now is that we are more aware of how children and how youth behave on the internet in comparison to, say, 20 years ago when I was starting out on the internet.
Yeah, so you were 10 years old when you joined up to Facebook and you lied about your age.
Yeah, somewhere between 11 and 12. It was when I moved to the United States from Australia, and in order to keep in touch with my friends here as well as making new friends in the States, it did force me to unfortunately lie about my age back then, and I'm pretty sure most kids back then did lie about their age. The restriction at the time was 13 or 14, I believe, to register for Facebook. There was no identification. There was no particular methodology other than you could just put in whichever year you chose to be born in.
But it was good for you, I guess, as someone living overseas. It gave you an avenue to still communicate, to have friendships with people back in Australia.
Yes, absolutely. I found that social media back then for me was the only way that I could talk to people that I actually genuinely thought that there was a potential for a friendship or a connection with. You're able to find other people in the same age bracket as you who care about that. It's actually really great for your developmental skills as well as other people in your cohort.
But given the things that can be posted online that can be really concerning, dangerous and not good for young people to see, surely 16 is not a bad compromise. There must be some benefits to that.
I think that 16 is a bit drastic in the sense that they haven't shared what they're doing to actually educate the youth from the ages of when they're cognizant enough and they understand that the internet exists, which starts off at a lot younger than it used to because kids are coming out of the womb essentially holding a phone in their hand.
Yes.
But the issue here is a blanket ban up until the age of 16 means that kids, they're still not being provided the tools and the skill set that all of a sudden when they're 16 and 1 day old, that they're going to be able to go out onto the internet and magically understand how to use it in a safe manner. Now that there is all of these advents of technology, there's these different platforms, and there's people who understand the harms of the internet, having grown up seeing the harms of the internet, it is therefore the government's responsibility to then take these learnings and find safeguards and regulations that aren't a blanket ban and aren't in a way that they just say, nope, you're too young, you don't understand this. The ban as it currently stands is not supporting our youth in their journey of being part of the digital age. There is no going back to an age without the internet. There is no going back to an age without social media. So therefore, it is our society's responsibility actually to be holding the hand of our youth rather than saying no.
Hi, I'm Susan McLean. I'm Australia's leading cyber safety expert, and it's great to be talking to you today.
Susan, you've worked in cyber safety for young people with the Victorian Police for a very long time, more than 30 years. Just tell me, was there a moment when it became really obvious to you that social media was becoming, frankly, damaging and in some cases really dangerous for young people?
Well, I took my first report of cyberbullying in 1994, and that was way before social media, and that was within a chat room. Then as technology has progressed, with more people being there, certainly there is harmful content that children are being exposed to online. And look, I think the disinformation and the misinformation is really concerning in that I have to chuckle because there was a saying, you know, when I was growing up, you know, don't believe everything you read in the newspaper. And when you think about it, really to print something in the paper, it basically had to be true. Like it had to be checked. There were checks and balances, yet we were always warned not to always believe it. Yet now we have a generation of people that are taking what they're viewing off social media and other platforms and believing it without fact-checking.
Yes.
And I think that is problematic. And, you know, an example is when young people source medical advice from TikTok.
Wow.
You know, that just beggars belief that your brain would even think that that was a useful place to go for medical advice, but they do.
Well, the government now, of course, wants to block children under the age of 16 from everything from TikTok to Facebook, Instagram, and according to the Communications Minister, Michelle Rowland, potentially even YouTube. And I think, Susan, there'll be a whole lot of parents out there saying, hooray, what a great idea.
Well, those that are saying hooray have no idea that this is 100% unenforceable.
Right.
And it will not work. And it panders to the, you know, to the parent community. It panders to the panic parent or the parent that can't be bothered. None of this is new. We already have the age of 13 for social media. Your child does not need to be there. You make a choice to allow them to go there. Over 80% of children under 13 on these platforms are there because a parent has helped them lie to set up an account. Raising the age to 16 is not going to change that one little bit. And there are no consequences. Oh, sorry, darling, you can't have TikTok because it's illegal. What are they going to do to me, Mum? Oh, well, actually nothing. People are delusional if they think that parents and young people are willingly going to follow this.
But that might be the case. Okay, you're not going to go to jail if you allow your 14-year-old onto Facebook, or I don't think they use Facebook, right? Instagram. But there will be more pressure on the tech companies. That's the point of it, isn't it?
There will be pressure on the tech companies to make sure that they do not allow allegedly under 16s on the platform. But I can tell you now 90% of under 16s are far tech savvier than the Prime Minister and his government will ever be. And there are so many workarounds that it will be almost impossible to enforce. And if a person knows that there will be no consequences for their own choices, what is going to make them change? Not all social media is bad, not all children are harmed, and for some children, particularly neurodivergent, others that are socially isolated, it is their community, it is their community of friends, and we should not be taking that away.
All right, well, let's have a look at the better ways to deal with this in a moment. But, the PM has likened the legislation to underage drinking laws. It's setting an expectation.
This weekend, like most weekends, I'm sure there will be an example of someone under the age of 18 getting access to alcohol. Doesn't mean that you walk away from society establishing those laws. It doesn't mean that you say, oh, well, it's all too hard, let it rip.
The expectation is you really cannot drink until you're 18. So you should not go on social media for your own health until you're 16. That's the expectation. There's nothing wrong with that, is there?
Well, there's nothing wrong with that, except that if you're caught drinking under 18 in public, you can be arrested. So there is a consequence. They are real laws. There is no consequence for this.
Well, you're clearly sceptical about whether this will make much of a difference at all. Another argument, though, Susan, is that at least it's a tool for parents. I know it can't be enforced legally on the parent or the child, but a parent can go to the child and say, you can't have this social media app because the law says it's banned. And that's a powerful tool for a parent to have, isn't it?
It is, but I speak to over 350,000 children every year right around the world. And why are they on it under 13? We have a legal minimum age of 13 already. So why are parents happy to help their 10-year-olds sign up for TikTok already? So I cannot see how this is going to change that. Parents already can make those statements. Parents cannot give smartphones if they don't want to. They can put in place rules and boundaries, and plenty do. I spoke to a group of elite junior male soccer players on the weekend, aged between 15 and 18, and several of them, I was talking to them, have dumb phones. They do not have a smartphone. They do not access these things because that was an agreement with their parents.
It really comes down to education, I think, in your view, but even that's difficult, right?
So it's more than education. There's not one solution. So we need education, absolutely. And yes, digital technologies is in the curriculum. It's like PE. Some schools do it well, some don't. We need parents educated. So we have to empower parents to work together and support each other to say no. We need to keep the pressure up on the platforms. And certainly some of the platforms have made huge improvements over the past X amount of years. So we need the platform to be safer for the user so that it's fit for purpose. There is always going to be content that slips through, and there will always be content that is not suitable for a particular child, but we have to do it like that. We can't just go, until you're 16 you can't be there, because then what that tells the platform is, well, there is an expectation that no one under 16 is using my platform, therefore I will pitch all the content as something that is suitable for people over 16. So that puts a 14-year-old in an even more dangerous situation.
Well, the government's clearly tapping into concern of parents, and there are a lot of parents that are concerned about social media and the effects that has on their children. So what would be your message to them?
So absolutely understand that there are risks and dangers on social media, the same as there are risks and dangers in the real world as well. Make sure that you are in control. You are the parent. You're not your child's best friend. I'm all about delaying. There is no child in primary school that needs a smartphone, unless you've got diabetes and you're managing a medical condition. I'll say that up front. So you can buy phones that do not connect to the internet. Talk and text. Parents need to be there with their children. If they're on an app or a platform or playing a game, they need to be there as well. The same as they walk the dog with the child. They take the child to the park. But it cannot be, it's banned, therefore my child won't find it. But we all have to work together. Little people in primary school should not be on social media. They don't need smartphones. We need parents to step up there.
Susan McLean is a cyber safety expert. Kriti Gupta, who we spoke to in the beginning, helps run a Gen Z mental health charity. This episode was produced by Sydney Peed. Our supervising producer is David Cody. I'm Sam Hawley. ABC News Daily will be back again tomorrow.